All right, guys. Good Saturday morning. Not as active a Saturday as we usually have around here because there's no Huskies football. There isn't really any college football to speak of. So let's just focus in on tomorrow's game in San Francisco. And I I don't really know what to say. I don't really know what to say. We just faced this team 2.5 weeks ago and not a lot has changed. The only thing that's really changed are injuries. Like we might have K9 this week. We didn't have them last time we played them. We might not have Gino. We had Gino last time we played them. They won't have Eric Armstead. They won't have Spencer Burford. They won't have Elijah Mitchell. So, other than just injury related things, it just kind of feels like the same game we just played. It's in San Francisco. I guess that's a little bit different, but I don't know how big a difference that makes, really. Like, has Seattle shown you anything to indicate that they're significantly better at home than on the road? Not really. So, I it's hard to really find things to discuss with this one. Like, where do we go? Like, I can sit here and talk about all the things they could do that might work. Like, if they were more aggressive with their blitzing, if they were a little more willing to explore flood route concepts, if they were willing to play man coverage on the Niners receivers, if they were willing to utilize some of the play action bootlegs that they were using a lot earlier in the season, they might find some success. But that seems to be the case every week, and it never happens. So I can beat the dead horse over and over again, wondering when this team is going to show something different, something new, and something that might actually work against one of these really good teams because you're not going to beat the Niners just by showing up, even if you do show up. They are a better team than you. They have more talent than you. They have better coaching than you. This is one of those teams that should beat you. So if you don't come out with something crazy, you're not going to win. So for me, sitting here and talking about all the things that I think might work, like man coverage, like blitzing, like flood route concepts, like running the ball from under center, these things that I want to see this team do, it's just, it doesn't seem like it's ever going to happen because it would have happened by now. It's already almost too late at this point. Like the season's about to be a wrap. And this is if we were going to try to mix things up and do things differently, that's something that should have been done weeks ago before this three-game winning streak kicked in. So, what's the point? Me and the Hawks Nest did do a show a couple of days ago now where we discussed these concepts that the team could try to utilize to have better results in games like this, but at the same time, I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, we all know it's not going to happen. So I don't really know what to say about this one. The Niners, when they're healthy, they're pretty hard to stop. And while they're not necessarily healthy right now, they're healthy in the right areas. They have their quarterback, they have McCaffrey, and they don't lose when they have McCaffrey and Trent Williams out there healthy. They got Debo, they got Ayuk, they got Kittle. One thing I said about the Niners before the season started and during the season was that their main issue was that a lot of their players were relatively injury prone. Like Debo misses games every year. McCaffrey was made of glass for a little while there. Purdy had gotten hurt last season. He tore his, what was it? He tore his a tendon in his elbow, I think it was. So the main weakness that I saw with that 49ers team was those guys are going to get hurt, and what then? And we did see that this year when they lost a couple of those key guys on offense, they went on a three-game losing streak and didn't look good at all. So now that they're healthy, I can't really say anything about that. It's hard to even break this game down from a Seahawks perspective because we don't know who we're going to have even at quarterback. Like, we don't know what we're going to have at running back or quarterback in this game. We could have all our running backs and our starting quarterback, or we could be down to a third string running back and a backup quarterback. The potential outcomes here are still wide. And until we know for sure who we have, it's hard to even break it down. Like, if we have Drew Lock back there with DJ Dallas and Kenny McIntosh playing his first ever NFL action, what is there to say even, right? Like I guess maybe you can take the Niners by surprise a little bit because they're not going to have a lot of familiarity playing Drew Lock, and it's at least different than playing against Geno Smith. But is that going to be enough to result in a win when this defense can't stop anything? Like, this defense right now is kind of at a low point. They're at an all-time low. They're coming off one of the worst games I've ever seen them play. That may have been the worst defensive performance of the Pete Carroll era. And I know that sounds bold, but I'm serious. For the offense to give them as much support as they did in that Cowboys game and to still completely fail to do anything right is it's tough to imagine being worse than that. So I'm just trying to figure out what angle to discuss this game from right now, and it's hard because even if this team does things right, they're probably going to lose because they're outmanned. And there's no shame in that, but the annoying part is you kind of already know before this game starts that they're not going to do things right. So honestly, it's not even really about winning at this point. It's just about seeing your team adopt a new process that actually makes sense. Like when you're playing a team like the 49ers, you don't want to play a lot of zone defense. You don't want to be playing soft defense because Purdy picks it apart. You want to be playing aggressively. You want to be blitzing. You want to be getting aggressive with your coverage. You look back at that game we played against the 49ers on Thanksgiving at home. The things we were doing in that game weren't just bad because they didn't work. They were bad because they didn't really make any sense. So it's like we're going back to a very remedial style of football where the expectations are just competency, not good play, not great play, not winning, not scoring a bunch or making a bunch of plays on defense. No, it's just show me that you have some basic understanding of what needs to be done here if you want to even have a chance in these games. So I'm gonna mostly keep it to that in this video. I don't really know what else to say. Like, yeah, our offensive line against their defensive front, at least they don't have Armstead, but that's a Niners team that can get pressure without blitzing, which, hey, I guess that's good because we have not been handling the blitz all that well this season. So that's obviously encouraging, but if it's Drew Lock back there or a crippled Geno Smith, it's probably going to be a lot of turnovers because they're going to be able to generate some pressure without us without having to commit extra players to the rush. So I don't know if that really works out in our favor. Hopefully Metcalf is actually has his head in the game this time because 2 weeks ago I don't think he did. So that would be nice if he at least shows up and gives us something. But really, we're kind of beyond winning this game, I think. Like, hey, if we win this game, great. That's awesome. I'll be happy about it. I'm not on Team Tank. I think tanking right now, that conversation, like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it's not going to do enough for us to make tanking worth it. It's too late to tank. We have 6 wins. So, no, I want to win. I want to derail the Niners season as much as I can. I want to win a game in the division, and I want to come out of this game feeling like we're at least making progress. We're at the very least showing that we are gaining some understanding of how to do things, some understanding of how to game plan for your specific opponent, which is what we need going forward because the reality of the situation is that this coaching staff, with the exception of maybe one or two guys who don't really do that much, have much to do with anything anyway, they're going to be here next year. So we need these coaches to show us they can be competent. That's more valuable than anything else, including a draft pick. All right, I'm going to cut it there because there's nothing else to say. See you guys later. Go Hawks.